Previously, the next day, Kaoyi announced that the draw of 1 versus 1 duel continues until there remains the last 10, and the weaker one will get eliminated, which means death. Kaoyi also said whether they survive or not depends on whether they can kill their opponent or not. Then he picked a note inside the box and said the first round is King, which made the kid fear and wish that their name won't be called for King opponent. Then the kid wonders which unlucky person will face King the Grim Reaper. King, who's standing in the front, look angrily at Chumu, who's in the crowd. Then they look at each other angrily. Kaoyi picked another paper while Chumu wonder who's gonna be is it. Kaoyi picked name Zhang Fei Sheng, which made the other kids relieved because their name did not get called and they think Fei will probably die a horrible death. On the other hand, Fei was shaking in fear, then retreat and run away while shouting that he don't want to die yet. But Kaoyi pointed at him while asking him sarcastically if he wants to run. Then Kaoyi called his pet that chased after Fei and killed Fei. Kaoyi announced that anyone who dares to run will end up like that. Then he pointed to the pet who was dragging Fei, which made the kids speechless in fear. Then Kaoyi tells King that he will count that round of victory as him and order him to go back to the queue, to which King did and pushed Chumu to the side while saying he's lucky that he didn't get a match up with him, then walk away leaving Chumu angry. A few hours later, some kids got killed in the duel and some kids win, and the other kids who don't want to fight were dragged away to be fed to the wolves. Then Kaoyi inserts his hand into the box for the next round and called Chumu, and his opponent is Hongdan, which made Chumu shocked and looked back to see Hongdan talking with Ting. Hong said it turns out that her opponent is Chumu, which made Ting worried. But Hong apologized to her and said that she might have a change of roommate. But Ting just lower her head and tells her good luck because she might be the one to die. Then Hong walk away, which made Ting exhale in sadness. Then Chumu and Hong arrived on the stage. Hong tells Chumu that she knows his soul pet is a low-rank moonlight fox, and he got lucky to live till today, but Chumu just look at her emotionless. Hong tells Chumu not to blame her for being ruthless, as she's doing that to survive. Then Hong called her pet, then she smiles confidently, but Chumu just throw a knife toward her, which pierced her neck. Then she collapsed on the ground dead, which made the kids shock and ask if that even considered a duel. The two men ask Kaoyi what they should do to that kind of situation. But Kaoyi just tells Chumu that he has done it nicely because accurately aimed for the opponent's weak point and with no hesitation. Then Kaoyi also said it is such a pity that moves like that won't work a second time, and others will be on guard against it. Then Chumu walk away, which made the kids shake in fear. Chumu think he ended it quickly so he can finally obtain some time for Mozai to recover. Then he walks past at Ting, who's thinking that everyone is tricked by Chumu's appearance and he's actually the scariest in that top 10 battle. The next morning, Kaoyi and the kids have arrived at the fighting place. The kids were waiting and looking at Kaoyi, who was at the top, while Chumu, who was thinking that last night Mozai recovered around 50% already, and King peeked at Chumu angrily. Kaoyi announced that it was the last battle day and those who live can leave the island. Then he announced that the battle begins. A few hours later, Kaoyi announced that the last participants are Chumu versus Jerson, who was telling Chumu that his Balasauridi monster will kill his little fox. Ting said that another person who is underestimating Chumu, which made the purple hair on her back thinks Ting trusted Chumu so much, so she wondered if she had fallen for him. Jerson called his Balasauridi and Chumu called Mozai. Mozai feet shake, to which Ting notices and said Mozai hasn't recovered fully because it looks very weak, which made the purple hair girl say Chumu is going to lose for sure, but Ting confidently said Chumu won't lose. Then Balasauridi attacked Mozai, but Mozai avoided it. Then Balasauridi attacked again, but Mozai jumped to avoid it, which made the other kids say the Moonlight Fox is so agile and Balasauridi is being played by Mozai. On the other hand, Balasauridi was confused about where Mozai was, which made Jerson shout to his pet that Mozai is behind him. Then Mozai circled around Balasauridi, which made it dizzy and made Jerson angrier, and order his pet to hurry up and attack, which made Chumu smile while realizing that Balasauridi will be exhausted when it get irritated. Mozai used his charm, which made it stunned and hypnotized. Jerson was shocked and ordered his pet to snap out of it quickly, but Chumu ordered Mozai to kill it, to which Mozai swing its claws toward it and cut its throat, which made it collapse on the ground dead. Jerson, who can't believe you lose, also collapsed on the ground in horror. Then he got dragged by two men. Kaoyi claps and announced that the remaining 11 are all victorious, but the island's rule is that only 10 can live, which made the kids shock. King clenches his hand in anger and raises his hand to tell Kaoyi that yesterday his opponent was killed by him, and he kinda lacks battle experience, so he's willing to fight with Chumu and the loser gets eliminated. Then he smiles while thinking Chumu Fox has wounds after experiencing one match, so how it can have a chance to win against him. Then he laughs and asks Chumu what he thinks about it, which made Chumu angry, clenches his teeth and said since King is seeking death, then he will grant his wish. King looks at Chumu teasingly, but Chumu just stared back. Kaoyi said the fight is settled, and the victors get to live and the loser shall die. Then he said the battle begin. King called his scaled snake, and Chumu called Mozai. Then King ordered his snake to devour Mozai, but Mozai jumped and avoided it. But he landed where the scaled snake's tail was. Chumu tell Mozai to keep his distance, and don't let it come near him. Also don't give it a chance to constrict him. Mozai jump away in time before he gets trapped in its tail. Then its tail moved to attack him. Fortunately, Mozai avoided it. Then Mozai landed on the ground and looked at scaled snake. King ordered his snake to use a poison splash, to which the snake did. Chumu and Mozai avoided it, but a piece of poison splashed on Mozai's tail that made his fur burn and make him shout in pain. Then the scaled snake launched toward Mozai. Fortunately, Mozai avoided it once again and attacked it around its body using his claws. Then he jumps toward Chumu, who's in shock, but still catches him and looks at its injured claws. King said Mozai claws can never hurt his scaled snake's defense. Then he ordered his pet to stop playing and end the game quickly. Then he ordered it to unleash its vicious devour, to which the scaled snake followed. The other kids said Chumu's going to die because those who get devoured by it will have their skin bitten viciously. Then poison starts spreading, causing their body to ulcerate. Ting tells Chumu to run quickly, but Chumu calmly tells Mozai that he thinks it's time for him to use his new skill. Suddenly Mozai jump off, which made Chumu shock. Then it turned around and smiled at Chumu, then started to walk away while activating its power. Mozai walks towards Scaled Snake and uses its Moon Shadow clone technique. King just laughed and said clones are also useless. Then the Scaled Snake angrily waits for Mozai and its clones who were running toward it. Then the Scaled Snake launched toward Mozai and opened its mouth, which made Ting and the other kids shocked in horror. Chumu called Mozai, then Mozai clone gets back to him. Then the Scaled Snake swallow Mozai. The Scaled Snake was proud at itself, while King orders his pet to send Chumu to reunite with his Moonlight Fox. Suddenly Scaled Snake vicious devours slowly fading, which made King shock. Then something move inside its body. Then Mozai used his Moonlight Claw to come out of its body. Then Scaled Snake collapsed to the ground dead, while Mozai proudly made a sound for his victory. Kaui, the other members of the Night Demon Association, and the kids were shocked. Chumu orders Mozai to kill King. Then Mozai walks toward King and slashes him, while King can't believe what happened and falls to the ground dead. Then Chumu sends Mozai to Soul Pet Space to rest. Kaui tells Chumu that he didn't expect him to be hiding his true power, and being able to use Moonlight Claw means his Moonlight Wolf must have reached 9 rank. Then Kaui angrily asks him if he's the one who has killed Ju Shengmo and the others, which made the other kids say luckily they never provoked Chumu. Then Kaui uses mental restraint on Chumu, which made Chumu shock and held his head while shouting in pain. Kaui orders him to speak, and Chumu responded that it wasn't him. But Kaui tells him that he will give him a last chance to speak, but he still said it's not him. Then he tells Mozai, who's angry inside his Soul Pet Space, not to worry and that he can't come out. Kaui angry squeezed his hand while telling Chumu to stop lying. Then Zhang tells Kaui to calm down because there are only 10 people remaining on the island, and if one more is killed, Lord Zia will get pissed, to which Kaui remembers Zia's face. Then Kaui walks away while telling the kids that they'll be leaving in 3 days and they should go back to rest. One of the members of their association asks Zhang why Kaui gets angry over Shengmo and others' death because he usually didn't care about those people. Zhang responded that Kaui easily gets jealous and envies others. Kaui doesn't want to let people he disciplined before climb over his head. He also said Chumu has potential and talent and has been feeding White Nightmare for so long, so if Lord Zia likes him. But before he can finish his word, his comrade asked what they should do. Zhang responded from his look of it, Zia won't let Chumu die because Chumu might achieve a high rank inside the Nightmare Palace. To which the guy said if Kaui wants to kill Chumu, then they must protect him, and make use of that chance to report that matter, so Kaui will die and they'll rise in rank. Then they laugh together. The night comes. Chumu was near the cliff sitting. He was loading 2 attribute soul crystals. Then he broke it into pieces and looked at the fire and the beast attribute soul crystal. Chumu think the beast and the fire attribute soul crystal can strengthen Mozai's combat ability and helps to prepare a good foundation for the next racial mutation. The chance of Mozai becoming a flame 9-tail firefox will greatly increase, and it will also lower the chance of evolving into another weaker type. Then Mozai absorbs the 2 attributes soul crystal, which made it release fire, and covered by it, which made Chumu shock. Then the fire slowly fades, showing the red lines on Mozai's feet and head. Then Mozai looks at Chumu and hug him, while Chumu proudly tells Mozai that he has evolved to the 2nd stage. While they peacefully hugging on the ground, they notice something, and when they look back they saw something looking at them from the tree. Then they walk toward it to check, but it opened its wing and fly toward the sky, which made Chumu shocked and realized that it was the Dark Night Bat. The bat opens its mouth to attack Mozai, who's in shock. Then it hit Mozai, but Mozai just stands still and look at the bat intensely while using his skill, which made the bat set on fire and collapse on the ground, burned. Chumu, who's looking at the dead bat, was shocked and happily tells Mozai that it is the flame light, a flame type skill. Then he patted Mozai while thinking that they have succeeded. Then he lifted up Mozai proudly while thinking Mozai successfully grew into a soul pet with beast attribute as its main and flame attribute as its supporting attribute. The next morning, Kaoyi and the 10 remaining kids were walking toward the boat on the shore. Kaoyi said they all are now members of Nightmare Palace, so they should get on the boat because they're heading to Green Nightmare Island. A few moments later, the boat sailed, then the kids happily hug each other and said they finally can leave the hellish place while Chumu was emotionless on the side. When the boat moves fast, Chumu catches breath and closes his mouth tightly, but he still ends up vomiting. That made Ting worried. On the other hand, someone looking at them and Zheng tells them not to stand near the side of the boat because the sea has many ferocious soul pets, and if they piss them off, they can easily jump up and swallow them. Suddenly Chumu noticed something, then a big shark jump out of the water. Fortunately, Chumu grabs Ting to avoid the shark attack. Zheng said he jinxed it, then he realized that they were surrounded, so he called Kaoyi to say that they are targeted by a group of python sharks. The shark jump and bite the boat's sail, then come back into water. Kaoyi orders the kids to go into the cabinet, to which the kid follows. Then the shark jumps to attack Kaoyi, but he dodges it and curses at it angrily. Suddenly a tentacle grabbed him, which made him and his member shocked. Then it pulled Kaoyi into the water. Then they saw blood and just a bubble. Suddenly, the water burst and Kaoyi was on top of it, while holding a bloody knife, and landed on the boat. Then Kaoyi orders the water spirit to kill all the sharks. Then the water spirit made a circled power and throw it in different location, killing all the sharks. The other sharks swim away, which made Kaoyi angrier. Then the water spirits block the sharks' way using the block of ice. Then the water spirit swims toward the sharks and killed all of them. Kaoyi proudly said they should continue advancing, which made the kids happily say they are saved and Kaoyi is so strong. But Chumu think he currently still can't win against Kaoyi because his water spirit has already reached stage 3. A few moments later, the sun is about to set. Chumu sickly asks when will they arrive because he feels like vomiting again. Then one of the kid pointed at somewhere and said the Green Nightmare Island is in front, and they finally arrived. Then their boat landed on the shore and they entered the Green Nightmare Island. Zheng said from now on, they'll live there and if they can perform well, they can move to other better islands, to which made Chumu happy. The sexy ladies on the street call Kaoyi handsome and ask him to have a few drinks with them. That made Kaoyi excited, and tells Zheng that he will leave the rest to him, to which Zheng agreed. Then Kaoyi buried his face to the women's jugs. That made Zheng angry. Then he tells the kids that they are now the lowest rank servant, and after a few days, they'll fight with other island members. Also, according to their combat ability, they'll distribute their positions. The higher the position, the more resources they will get. Then Zheng looks back to look at Chumu while saying he hopes one of them can obtain some slightly better position, which made Chumu speechless. A few minutes later, they arrived at a big house. Then Zheng announced that the house is their new home, and each one of them will get a single room. Also, Gufeng will be the leader and will be responsible for coordinating everyone. Then Zheng gives them a gold coin while saying each one of them will collect a gold coin to buy some essentials. Chumu lifted his coin and said Mozai needs it for growth, so he wonder if the market have the medicine and herbs that he need. A few minutes later, Chumu walk around the town and realizes that he's lost. Suddenly he smells something and follows it. Then he ends up in the store. The owner, who's making some medicine, asks him what he needs. Chumu asks if they have any sky blue grass, to which the man happily responded that they have and they sell one plant for 2 gold. But Chumu showed his 1 gold shyly. Then the owner called him a poor brat because he just have 1 gold. Then the owner turns around while telling him that if he doesn't have money, he should find another place. Chumu grabbed something inside his pocket and showed it to the owner while asking how much did he think the worth of the soul cores. The owner looked at it and said those soul cores don't seem like local soul beasts. Then he asked Chumu if he was a servant from another island, and Chumu responded yes. Then the owner said those 3 soul cores at most can be sold for 1 silver and 5 copper. The currency there is 1 silver is equal to 10 copper and 1 gold is equal to 10 silver. The owner also said even if new recruits get an official position afterward, his salary will still be very limited, and if he wants to get rich, he'll have to rely on himself to earn more money. Chumu excitedly asked the owner if he have a good method, and the owner responded yes and asked Chumu to cooperate with him, because their store collects soul cores at a high price, while pointing at the board on the wall that says their store operates with honesty and don't lie or scam. Chumu excitedly asked the owner where he can find a suitable place to hunt and collect soul cores. The owner responded in the dense forest to the south after leaving the city. But before the owner can finish, Chumu was walking away confidently while the owner shouted to tell him that he haven't finished talking. The night come. In the dense forest, Chumu and Mozai were walking. Suddenly Chumu stepped on the bone, which made a loud noise, making the monsters of the forest notice them. Meanwhile, in the bar, 2 people cheers their beer mug. Then Cao Yi and Sub-Island's master named Liu Zheng drinks their beers. Then Liu put his empty mug on the table and tells Cao Yi that they have a close relationship, so he should let him know if he needs anything. Cao Yi said a few days later, in the upcoming battle, he should let his servant finish off a kid named Chu Mu, who works for him. Then he angrily said Chu Mu killed 3 of his servants with high potential who should have survived, which made Liu stunned in shock. Then Cao Yi held Liu's shoulder while telling him not to worry because Chu Mu's soul pet is just a moonlight fox, to which Liu tells Cao Yi not to worry because he'll tell them to take care of that Chu Mu. Then they laugh together. 2 days later, in the store, the owner drinking tea while thinking it's been 2 days and the kid hasn't come back yet, so he's afraid that the kid is already dead. Suddenly the store door opened, and the owner was shocked to see Chu Mu come back injured. Then Chu Mu put a bag full of core crystals while telling the owner to settle the bill. The owner opened the bag and saw many cores, which made him shocked and said Chu Mu came back alive and brought back so much from that forest. Then the owner started to count the core crystals and said it was a total of 7 gold. Then he happily looks at the crystal core while saying a newbie servant can collect cores worth 7 gold in just 2 days, and it's his first time seeing that core crystals after so many years. Chu Mu tell the owner that he wants 1 sky blue grass and the rest he should pay him in gold because he still has to go to other places and buy some other stuff. When he gets his stuff, Chu Mu starts to walk away while the owner asks him what else he wants, and he just tells him, so he can search if he has what he needs. Chu Mu responded he needs soul techniques and he knows that he don't have them there, but the owner grabbed his shoulder while telling him not to underestimate him and that he should follow him. Inside the shop, Chu Mu saw big cabinets, then the owner pulled one of it, which opened the big secret door. Then the owner tells Chu Mu that his treasure is only open for a valuable customer, but Chu Mu think the owner is a crooked businessman who's still talking so high and mighty. Chu Mu peeked at the door and was shocked to see many rare herbs and medicine. Then they go inside while the owner tells him that he has many soul techniques there. Chu Mu said he needs soul technique rapid freeze. The owner gives it to him while telling him that he has good vision, and that rapid freeze techniques can be used both offensive and defensive. Also, its effect on the soul is twice as good, so he'll only charge 5 gold, which made Chu Mu's expression change. A few minutes later, the owner happily tells him that he was welcome to visit his store again next time. But Chu Mu, who's holding a rapid freeze technique and 1 sky blue grass, painfully walks away thinking about his hard-earned money. Suddenly, the owner called him and he looked back. Then the owner throws something at him. Chu Mu said it was a good healing medicine, but he have no more money. The owner laughed and said he loves those with high potential. Doing business with people who have high potential is like an investment. Then he tells Chu Mu that in the future if he wants anything, he can visit them and the price is negotiable. The sun is set when Chu Mu come back to the house, but he was shocked to see the house is full of blood and he asked what happened there. Then he walks toward the house and sees the door open. Then he called Mo Zai and peeked at the door. Chu Mu saw Ting and 2 more kids at the table. Then he asked Ting what happened there and where are the others. Ting responded that a few foremen gave them some decent quality cores and let them prepare for the upcoming battle. But some other islands people were interested in the core that they had, so they forced them to agree with the trade. But they didn't, so they attacked them. Then Gu Feng angrily asks Chu Mu where was he those few days and if he doesn't know the day after tomorrow is their battle. Gu Feng also said now that they've been bullied like that with their soul pets being hurt, how can they compete with the other people in another island? But Chu Mu just walked past Gu Feng while asking what are the competition's format and rules. Ting responded that 10 soul pets from both sides will fight, and trainers are not allowed to participate. Also, the winner will get soul technique. Chu Mu just responded okay while going upstairs, which made Gu Feng sit down angrily and said Chu Mu is still so arrogant and don't even care about them. But Chu Mu tells Gu Feng not to worry about their today's suffering and embarrassment because he'll help them to pay them back. A few hours later, someone sneezed inside the house. Ting, who's lying on her bed and catch a cold, think the weather on that island is so weird because it becomes as cold as winter at night. On the other hand, in the room next door, the room was full of ice and Chu Mu was shaking and cold while saying he finally learned the rapid freeze technique. Then he sneezed hard because of the cold. The next morning, in the Nightmare Battle Arena, Zhang orders the kids not to look up after they'll enter because on top of the throne is the master of the Nightmare Green Island, and below him are all sub-island masters. Any disrespect from their gaze may attract lethal disasters. The master tells Cao Yi heard that the servants he brought that year are a bunch of useless people, and his island only reported Feng Gu, who had the highest servant among them, a 9th rank rock demon, but also a moonlight fox. Cao Yi responded that some accidents happened, so some strong ones died, and he tells the master not to hope for anything from that group. Then the sub-island master named Guomeng tells Cao Yi sarcastically that he's getting worse and worse, and that he never knew that he's so interesting, which made the other sub-island laugh while Cao Yi is angry behind them. Then someone announced that the match begins with the first match between Team Cao Yi and Team Guomeng. Gu Feng looked at their opponent and said it was them, which made Chu Mu ask him if he know those guys. On the other side were the team of Guo Mengs and the other children, and the leader named Zhao Feng who don't have a mask. Gu Feng angrily tells Chu Mu that those guys are the ones who snatched their soul cores. Zhao Feng said it turns out that their opponents are weaklings, so he tells his team to feel free to relax and play around because it's an easy win. Gu Feng looks at his team and fearfully tells them not to be scared because they were just careless last time, and if they unite and work together, they can definitely win. Then someone orders them to summon their soul pet. Chu Mu summoned Mozai, Gu Feng summoned Rock Demon, and Ting summoned Flower Thorn Demon. On the other hand, Zhao Feng summoned Scaled Armor Beast, the lady summoned Gila Monster, and the man summoned Wind Demon. Zhao Feng laughs hard while telling Chu Mu that he still dares to summon his Moonlight Fox. But Gu Feng just tells Chu Mu that the opponent's Scaled Armor Beast is the biggest problem, so they'll hold it back, and he takes the opportunity to take out other opponents, to which Chu Mu nodded. Then someone announced that the fight begins. The pets look at each other for a second, then Mozai jumps toward the mushroom and cuts it, which made it collapse on the ground and faded. Zhao Feng asks one of his teammates why he unsummoned his soul pet. The man responded the Moonlight Fox is strong, and his soul pet might die if it gets hit again. The lady angrily called him a loser and said he's a disgrace to them. But Zhao Feng tells the lady not to be distracted and to pay attention to the battle in the arena. Then Scaled Armor Beast punches one of Chu Mu's team pets, which made it thrown to the ground. The owner cries, but Chu Mu tells it not to panic and keeps stalling the Scaled Armor Beast. Then Mozai jumps off the top of the head of Scaled Armor Beast toward the Gila monster. Then Mozai cut off its head, which made the master, Liu, Meng, and Zhao Feng shocked and wonder how is that possible. Then Zhao Feng orders his Scaled Armor Beast to attack the Moonlight Fox first. Then it circled itself and chased Mozai, which made Mozai shock. But Gu Feng and Ting tell Chu Mu that they were coming to help. Flower Thorn Demon attacks it, but it has no effect at the Scaled Armor Beast and just rolled toward Mozai, while Rock Demon was waiting at it, and stops it from rolling. Then Flower Thorn Demon uses its thorn to wrap around the Scaled Armor Beast, but Zhao Feng confidently said attacking his Scaled Armor only will break Mozai claws. Mozai jumped toward it and cut it using his Moonlight Claw, which made its shield slowly crack and broke off, which made Zhao Feng shocked. Then Chu Mu tell Ting and Gu Feng that it's time. Flower Thorn Demon cut the exposed skin of Scaled Armor Beast using its sharp leaf. Then Rock Demon punch it, which made it collapse on the ground and faded because Zhao Feng angrily unsummoned it. Zhao Feng looked at his teammates and said he was careless, so the rest is up to his Wind Demon. Then the man ordered Wind Demon to absorb the wind, which made it big. Then it exhaled the wind toward Gu Feng's team pets and made a tornado that made Mozai, Flower Thorn Demon, and Rock Demon caught by it. The tornado become bigger, which made Ting and Gu Feng cover their faces, but Chu Mu realizes that the tornado hasn't reached its final state. Then he ordered Mozai to charge, which made Mozai confused for a second and close its eyes and activate its beast power. Then Mozai uses his moon shadow to destroy the tornado. Ting was amazed because Mozai got stronger again in just a short period of time. Mozai walks toward the Wind Demon, but it runs away fearfully, which made its owner tells his teammates that Wind Demon doesn't have close combat ability, and he asks his team to quickly come and help him out. But Gu Feng said it was too late because Rock Demon and Flower Thorn Demon killed their pets. Chu Mu ordered Mozai to kill Wind Demon, to which Mozai cut off its head and proudly smiled at Chu Mu while standing at its corpse. On the other hand, at the top, Liu tells Kaoyi that Chu Mu does have some strength, which made Kaoyi angrily realize that Chu Mu's Moonlight Fox has reached stage 2, and he tells Liu that Chu Mu's strength has increased again. But Liu tells Kaoyi not to worry because his servants aren't as weak as the group of losers under Guo Meng, to which Kaoyi agreed and smiled. Then someone announced that Kaoyi's servant won, which made Chu Mu and his team proud. Then Gu Feng tells Chu Mu that he hid his true power indeed because he didn't believe it before, but now he does, so Shang and others are definitely killed by him. Then Gu Feng tells Chu Mu that his Moonlight Fox has clearly reached stage 2, so he wonders why it looks like rank 6, and Chu Mu responded that acting pitiful also leveled up. Then the violet hair girl walks closely to Chu Mu while asking what's the stage and rank of Mozai because it's hard to tell from the outside. But Chu Mu just tell her to make a guess while she's lovely looking at Chu Mu, which made Ting angry. Suddenly he heard a whistling sound inside Mozai's soul pet space, and he thinks Mozai finally grew even stronger after those days of constant fighting. On the other hand, inside the soul pet space, Mozai's claws slowly release fire and cover it. Then Mozai claws become bigger and sharper, which made Chumu realize that it was a stage 2 rank 4 claw, and Mozai's attack power is even stronger. Mozai's Moonlight Claw and Blood Cleavage Claw become stronger, which made Chumu excitedly said, with those two powerful techniques, Mozai won't be afraid of any soul pets below stage 2 rank 7. Then another team comes in, while Gu Meng team was sad about their loss. Someone announced that the first rounds have ended and they should begin round 2, which is Team Kaoyi versus Team Liu Zheng. Liu asks Kaoyi to go down and watch it because it might be more interesting, to which Kaoyi happily agreed. Then someone orders both sides to summon their pets. Liu Zheng team pets are Dark Shadow stage 2, rank 3, Wind Demon stage 2, rank 3, Root Thorn Demon stage 2, rank 5, and Team Liu leader named Wang Qi Luo. Kaoyi's team was shocked to see their enemies all soul pets are stage 2 and above. Gu Feng tells his team that their enemies are strong, so when their match starts they should use a defensive technique, and he reminds his team that if they can't win they just surrender and withdraw their soul pets. Then the announcer said the battle begin. Ting ordered his Flower Thorn Demon to block the enemy way, which made the enemy shock. Luo said they defended after it started, to which his teammates asked him to let her defeat Ting. Then the girl ordered her Root Thorn Demon to attack, to which it did and broke Ting Flower Thorn Demon's defense and attack it, but Rock Demon grabs its thorn in time. Then Flower Thorn Demon attacked using her leaves, but the enemy ordered her Wind Demon to use Tornado, which made Rock Demon and Flower Thorn Demon caught by it. Wai Jai, one of Chumu's teammates, thinks under that situation they will definitely lose. Then he looks at his pet in the sky and thinks that the longer his white feather eagle lasts, the higher will be his personal ranking. Suddenly, a pet jumped and bit the white eagle's neck that made Lai Jai cry. The violet hair girl tells Ting that the opponent is too strong and they should withdraw the soul pet quickly to prevent it. Then Ting angrily said withdraw. Then Gu Feng and the others unsummoned their soul pets while saying they admit defeat, which made Luo call them a bunch of trash. The wolf gets down and suddenly something cut its neck fast, and its head falls to the ground while Mozai gets down. The owner panicked and Luo was shocked. Then angrily ordered his team to leave the Moonlight Fox to him. Then Luo's Dark Shadow pet walks forward. Then a violet flame appeared behind Mozai, which made Mozai confused. Suddenly a hand come out of it and try to grab Mozai. Fortunately, Mozai avoided it. When he looked back, Dark Shadow's hands are touching Mozai's shadow, and when he tried to move, his feet were unable to move. Luo said after getting hit by Dark Shadows activate Stealing Shadow Soul Seize. They should see how Mozai will move. Steal Shadow Soul Seize as a hand enters enemy's shadow, making the enemy's body unmovable, at the same time unable to use any mental spirit technique. Ting tells Chumu that they have all admitted defeat, so he shouldn't be stubborn because it's better to keep Moonlight Fox alive. Chumu think for a while and unsummoned Mozai while telling Luo that he had strong technique, but he's unable to stop the withdrawn call. When his unsummoned slowly processing, someone uses a mental seal at him, which made his unsummoned unable. Then Kaoyi tells him that it is such an interesting battle, so they should enjoy it more. Chumu's team looks at Kaoyi and him, and Ting asks Chumu if he's alright. But Kaoyi tells her that if he doesn't want to die, she should move aside. Luo said Mozai is still trying to resist and fight back, which made his teammates said he should let him annihilate Mozai. Then he orders his flame tail to attack Mozai. Chumu, who's in pain, shout to order Mozai to remove the acting pitiful state. Suddenly Flame's tail attack hit Mozai, which made Chumu fear what happened to Mozai. The man said after getting hit by 3 fireballs from his flame tail, he's sure Mozai is dead. When the fire disappeared, Luo was shocked and ordered his teammates to order his flame tail to retreat, which made the man confused. Then Mozai jumps and attacks the flame tail using its Moonlight Claw. Luo and the man can't believe that Mozai is alive. Kaoyi pressed down Chumu's head angrily while asking him how dare he trick him too, and the other sub-island masters realize that the Moonlight Fox is already stage 2, rank 4, and ask how did Mozai be immune to those fireball attacks, and if it has already undergone fire attribute soul crystal training. Luo angrily orders his teammates to attack together to kill Mozai with teamwork. Then their pets slowly walk toward Mozai. The pets are Root Demon Plant, Rhino Beast, and Red Scorpion. But Mozai just looks at his enemy, and Chumu's team wishes Mozai good luck. Chumu ordered Mozai to go all out, to which Mozai followed. The girl ordered his Thorn Demon and the man ordered the Wind Demon to attack. The Thorn Demon uses its vines to attack, while the Wind Demon uses a tornado, but Mozai just avoided it all. That made the girl angry and said Mozai is so crafty. The man orders his Root Demon Plant to block Mozai, to which it activates its plant and run toward Mozai. Chumu order Mozai to dodge, but his words are interrupted by pain. Kaoyi angrily tells him that they should see how long his soul energy will last, which made Mozai look back because he's worried about Chumu and got hit by Root Demon Plant. Chumu, who's in pain, orders Mozai to use his Flame Light, to which Mozai followed and set on fire the Root Demon Plant. The plant shouted in pain, and its owner unsummoned it while saying flame attacks are too effective toward plant types, so he will withdraw his root demon plant first. Luo called the man idiot and said the flame will still continue to run in his soul pet's space, but the man tells Luo to stop lying. Suddenly the man feels something strange and a fire comes out of him. Then a second later he was covered in fire, which made Luo angry. Kaui angrily tells Chumu that he has hidden so much of his strength, but Chumu just smile and tell Kaui that they should enjoy the battle to the end. On the other hand, Mozai was looking at his enemies. The lady wonders what's Mozai origin, while the other one realizes that even if they can win the match, they also can't beat the remaining teams, but Luo tells his team not to panic because they can win the battle. Chumu, who's still in Kaui's hand, orders Mozai to attack, to which Mozai followed and cut off the rhino beast's head, but the dog pet caught Mozai's feet. Then Mozai attacks its head and jumps off to the ground. Mozai looks at the Wind Demon, but the Dark Shadow comes forward to protect Wind Demon, and puts its hand on the ground that made a Dark Shadow shield. Mozai activates his power and attacks the shield using its blood cleavage claw. The Dark Shadow shield was cut in half. Also, Wind Demons and Dark Shadows got hit too, which made their owner, the Master, and the Sub-Island Master shocked, and Kaui angrily tightens his hand who was holding Chumu. Luo's team unsummoned their pets while saying Chumu was too strong and they can't win, so they withdraw and let Chumu win. Liu got angry and called his team a bunch of trash. Then he summoned his pet while angrily asking what's the point of letting them live. A big wolf come out and killed Luo's member, which made Luo cry in fear. When his team was all killed, he shouted in disbelief while Louis ordered him to summon his nightmare demon and continue fighting. Luo said if he summons the nightmare demon, he won't have enough soul energy to supply and nurture it, to which Liu orders his pet to kill Luo, but Luo stand up and said he understands. Then Luo kneeled and called his nightmare demon. A few moments later, the nightmare demon come out of his body. Mozai, who's looking at the nightmare demon, feels fear. Then the nightmare demon comes closer to Mozai and attacks it, which made Mozai thrown away and land on the ground. Then the violet fire in his tail slowly spread and set Mozai on fire, which made Chumu cry and called Mozai name. A few minutes later, Mozai collapsed while still on fire. Kaui smiles and looks at Chumu to say that he should give up on his moonlight fox because whether he dies with it or let it die alone is his choice. Then he throws Chumu. Then Chumu angrily called his white nightmare demon. Then it slowly come out of him, which made Chumu surprised and stand up with his white nightmare demon behind his back. Then Chumu angrily look back and see Kaui on the ground, wondering why his mental attack gets cancelled. On the other hand, the Sub-Island Masters were standing in shock because Chumu is nurturing a white nightmare demon. Even the Masters stand up and said Chumu's negative emotions lured white nightmare demon to possess him. Chumu run toward Mozai, who was still on fire, and used the rapid freeze on Luo's nightmare demon. Then he lifts up Mozai, to which his hand got burned, and uses his soul to try to get the fire off to Mozai. The white nightmare demon got angry and releases a lot of power. Then it looks at the nightmare demon and Luo, who was crying in fear. Then Chumu ordered Mozai to use demon flame's flame light, to which it did and burned Luo's nightmare demon that made Luo cough blood and collapsed on the ground while his nightmare demon faded away. Chumu tells Mozai that he did good work and he should rest up. When Mozai goes inside the soul pet space, Chumu looked back at Kaui. Kaui tried to run away while its cloth was on fire, and when he looked at his clothes he shouted in pain. Kaui swings his knife and cut off his clothes that were on fire, but Chumu tell Kaui that he's dead, and he orders his demon, but before he can give an order his soul slowly decreases. Kaui, who noticed it, said it looks like Chumu was on his limit. Then he summoned his pet. Then a wolf come out and immediately attacked Chumu. Fortunately, Chumu avoided it, but Kaui still order his pet to kill Chumu. Then it roars at Chumu, but someone grabbed its tail, and when it looked back, it saw a white nightmare demon. Chumu recognized it in shock and remember his past. Kaui Wolf was injured on the ground, but the white demon grabbed it again and squeezed it under his master, who was looking at Chumu. He realizes that the man is the one that kidnapped him and brought him to Nightmare Island. Then Kaui kneeled down and called the man Lord Zia. Kaui tells Zia that Chumu's soul energy isn't enough to supply the white nightmare demon anymore, and is helping him to kill Chumu. But Zia tells Kaui not to explain because he has witnessed everything that happened there, including the fact that he used his mental spirit seal to force Chumu not to withdraw his soul pet. Then Zia peeks back and tells Kaui angrily that he's trying to kill someone who has the potential and success in nurturing a white nightmare demon. Then he orders his people to bring Kaui away, to which his people immediately followed. Chumu looked at Kaui, who's being dragged away, then his eyes slowly closed. Then he passed out on the ground. On the other hand, the lady in the audience watches Chumu. A few hours later, in the boat, Chumu wake up and Zia looks at him. Chumu immediately stand up and asks Zia why he kidnaps him and brings him to Nightmare Island. Zia responded that his family has fallen and had already been removed from the gang Luo City's top 4 families, losing authority and power. He should understand what it means. Chumu thinks for a moment and angrily asks Zia if Yang Luo Bin hires him to kill him. Zia responded that whether is it Yang Luo or not is not certain. But it was indeed people from Yang family, but Yang family didn't give him what they promised, so sooner or later he will deal with that family. Zia also told Chumu that he told him all because he thinks he's full of potential, and he can become a very strong tamer, but Princess asks him to let him live, to which Chumu asks who Princess he's talking about. Then they looked to the side and saw a pretty lady reading a book peacefully. Then Chumu looked at Zia and said he don't know that princess and asked why is she helping him out. Zia responded maybe she thinks he's pitiful because she was the same as him, nurturing a white nightmare demon at a young age, but currently it has reached stage 4. Then Zia tells Chumu that he has 2 choices. 1, he takes white nightmare out of him, and he can return to his family and live a peaceful life, or 2, go to Prison Island. Prison Island is open once every 3 years and over 3,000 criminals are set there. After 3 years, only 1 person lives. Zia happily tells Chumu that if he can come out alive from the prison island, he will give him the white nightmare demon and take him in. Also, promote him as one of the Nightmare Palace's members. Then Zia creepily explained that the first path is he can struggle to live and wait for his pitiful family to gradually decline, and the second path is if he can survive, he can become one of the strong few. Chumu thinks carefully while Zia asks him which one will he choose between those 2 paths.